80s, 90s. So those are the 14 captains of Battleship Wisconsin.
Oh.
And you see, of course, the modern era
Yes.
captains are all the ones in color. Captain Blesh was the pre-com and up to Desert Shield. Next to him is Captain Bill. Captain Bill was captain during Desert Storm. And then Captain Vanderschroff relieved him, and Captain Vanderschroff was decom captain. Now, Captain Blesh is the only one that we know lots about as far as his eating habits are concerned.
This one?
Yeah. Captain Blesh, this is typical breakfast, or this is typical meal for Captain Blesh, less the sandwich. So he would eat breakfast by himself, he would invite chiefs for lunch, and he would invite the junior officers for dinner. And the joke in the chief's mess was, if you've been invited to eat lunch with Captain Blesh, eat before going because you're not going to get served any food. Because he ate like a bird. So that was the running joke down in the chief's mess. So they would eat down there before coming up here to eat with the skipper.
So I only see one person who didn't go to the academy. They all went to the academy except for the very last one.
That is correct. Yeah. Of the 14 captains, 13 of the 14 went to the academy. 2 were actually submariners.
Okay.
They started out as submariners. Of the 14, 11 were promoted to at least rear admiral. 2 or 3 went to vice admiral. And then, of course, Captain Vanderschroff, he graduated from the University of Connecticut, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and he went to OCS in Rhode Island or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Penn State. I'll say it a million times. I went to Penn State. I know. So Scott went to the academy. We always laugh about it because it's funny. Okay, so let's start. I want to ask you some questions. So, where are you from?
Over here?
Yeah.
So,
wait. Let's do your name first and everything, and then I want to.
Yeah, because I wanted to get away from that noise. So it's Keith, Keith, Nitka.
Nitka. Okay.
Yeah, Nitka. Coach Nitka of the Bears.
Yeah.
Just replaced the D with an N.
Awesome.
Okay, Keith Nitka.
Are you from Chicago?
No, New Jersey.
You're from Jersey. Where in Jersey?
Exit 14A.
Okay. Oh, because my family's from Edison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah,
cool.
not very far.
Yeah.
I was born in Parsippany.
Yeah.
Livingston is where the hospital is, but my parents lived in Parsippany. And before coming here, I was living in Long Valley, New Jersey, which is the westernmost edge of Morris County.
So what made you decide to go in the Navy?
So the Navy. I knew that I didn't want to go to college.
Oh.
And my father is a Vietnam vet. My uncle is retired Air Force. My cousin is retired Air Force. My grandfather built ships at the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Oh, how cool.
And I didn't want to go to college.
Yeah.
So Dad said, you can join the Army, or excuse me, you can join the Navy or you can join the Air Force, but you're not going into the Army and you're not going to be a Marine. And I actually went to the Air Force recruiter.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like my story.
I went to the Air Force recruiter. Now, where I went to the Air Force recruiter, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, and the Marines all shared this space. There was a main hallway, and you could see into the other rooms, you know. So I go to the recruiting station. I sit down outside of the recruiting door for the Air Force. There's a sign that says, "I'll be back in 5 minutes."
Sure. And the Navy guy sees you.
Yeah. So the recruiter, the BT-1 who became my recruiter, Don Trimble, he sticks his head out the door and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm waiting for the Air Force recruiter." Okay. So he goes back inside. Roughly 10 minutes later, he comes back. He says, "You're still waiting." I said, "Yeah." "Do you want a Coke or something?" "No." Now I'm 17 also at this time.
Sure.
And so Don goes back in there. And 10 minutes or so later, Don comes out again and he says, "You want to wait in here? We have much more comfortable chairs than those things are." And then 20 minutes later, I was in the Navy.
Oh, good for you. I love that story.
Yeah, and to this day, I have yet to see that Air Force recruiter. I've never seen him. So many times I went back there for DEP, never saw the Air Force recruiter.
Sounds like the Air Force.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so, very much so.
So you join the Navy at 17 and go to boot camp in Chicago?
Orlando.
Orlando. Oh, yes, you used to be there.
Yes. So now I wanted to fix the F-14. I wanted to be electronics in the F-14. So I'm dating myself, but
That's
it
fine.
was...
I flew in the F-14.
It was Top Gun.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I look younger than I actually am.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm going to do electronics on the F-14. Didn't get any thought. Don didn't say anything different about it. So, okay, that's what we're doing. I take the ASVAB test. The ASVAB says very much differently. I sit with the detailer, and the detailer says, what do you want to do? And I tell him, and he says, no, you're going to kill somebody or yourself, so pick another job. And I didn't give it any thought.
Sure.
So he puts these 2 sheets of paper in front of me, and one is quartermaster, one is radioman. And I chose the quartermaster rate.
That's a cool rate.
Yeah, and I got to go to Orlando. So
I'd rather do that than
boot and A school was in Orlando.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So then, what ships were you on, and then how did you end up on the Wisconsin?
Sure. So my first ship out of A school was the USS Richard E. Byrd.
Okay.
Guided missile destroyer, Adams class destroyer,
Okay.
DDG-23. Did a Unitas cruise on her.
Okay.
And she decommed the following year.
Okay.
Now I was a E3, or excuse me, I was a I was a petty officer 3rd class at that time. I was a QM3.
Okay.
And there was another QM3 with me. And when we decommed, the detailer had to find us other billets. There was a spot for a QM2 open on Battleship, Wisconsin. Now we had both passed the test. We had just not yet been frocked.
Sure.
Jeff was the other QM3, and he was 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the Navy ahead of me.
Oh man.
So the detailer, we got on the phone with the detailer. The detailer offered him the position here on the Wisconsin, and he declined it.
Oh.
So it then went to me, and I, one way or the other, it didn't make a difference to me. It's another ship. So
Yeah.
I came here. Then I was then promoted and frocked. I came here as a QM2.
QM2.
And I joined the the wheels up in the pilot house then.
And what year was that?
So that was 1990.
1990. So that's when. So they had brought back some ships. So Reagan had made this announcement that he wanted a 600-ship Navy.
Correct.
And so they looked around and said, "What ships can we recommission that aren't so bad?" And the Wisconsin was one of them.
Yes, all Iowas were actually brought back in the
Yeah.
1980s, and they were brought back sequentially by number. So Iowa came first, and then the New Jersey, then the Missouri, and then the Wisconsin.
That's super cool.
And the Wisconsin. Let's see. So the Wisconsin was brought back in very late in the game, so to speak. But then, which is why we were still around then for Desert Shield and
Yeah.
Desert Storm. We were actually set to go on an extended med cruise, which is what I was really looking forward to, because I'd done the Unitas cruise, and so a med cruise was a med cruise, no big deal. But they tacked on that word extended. So we were going to go to Scotland, we were going to go to England, we were going to go to Germany. They were talking about going to Russia. There were going to be all these different places. We were going to go on this extended med cruise, and I was stoked. This was really exciting. And then Saddam Hussein invaded Iraq, or Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait.
Kuwait, yeah.
And all that went out the window.
But so you guys went over, did you go through the Suez into the Middle East?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, we were supposed to leave on August 7th. He invaded on August 5th. We were supposed to leave on August 7th. Our departure date got pushed off to August 10th. And when we left on August 10th, they said go to the Rock of Gibraltar post haste. And when you get there, we will then tell you where you're going.
Okay.
So we went across the Atlantic Ocean. I believe the transit was 6 days, 5 days,
gosh.
something like that.
Wow.
From Norfolk to the Rock of Gibraltar. We got to the Rock of Gibraltar, and they said continue on to the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Now, they were not prepared with us going in that direction. You're aware of PIM?
Yes.
Plan of Intended Movement?
Yeah.
We had no PIM. Now, one of my collateral jobs up there in navigation was the chart petty officer.
Yeah, you about to track, make
Right,
sure
so-
you're staying within, yeah.
Right, so Commander Freeman, the gator, comes to me and he says, Nitka, you need to write PIM. And I said, I'm sorry? And he said, you need to write PIM. This is where we need to go. You need to get us there as quickly as possible. The only restriction you have is you need to maintain a 25-mile radius outside Libya.
Okay.
I can't cut corners where Libya is because they didn't want to irritate him.
Sure.
So I wrote PIM.
Good for
I
you.
wrote PIM going from the Rock of Gibraltar up until the Straits of Hormuz.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting
That's
stuff.
so
That was
cool.
really cool. Jeff, myself, and Steve Campbell, who was my assistant
Yeah.
at the time, he and I stayed up lots of late hours.
That's real
up in the
QM
truck.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we're talking, PMP arms and paper charts and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun.
So now they had to retrofit the ship then with like ammunition and guns that were modern. How did you feel about that? Did you feel like the ship was prepared for that, or was it kind of like you're making do?
No, so in order to bring the ships back to make them modern in 1980, they removed 4 of the 10 5-inch mounts.
Yeah.
And they put on the Harpoons and the Tomahawk missiles.
Yep.
Now, the Tomahawk missiles, of course, and the Harpoons, they couldn't do a vertical launch system, so they had to come up with another system. But everything seemed good to me. Me
Okay.
personally,
You felt-
I'm not
That's how I
a
felt
fire
it.
controlman or anything like that.
Sounds
but
good to me.
yeah, it all looked pretty cool. So, and quite honestly, when I got here, it's sad for me to say at this point in time, looking back, but it was just another ship to me at the time.
Sure.
I was on a ship. I'm now on another ship. When I leave here, I'll probably go to another ship. And,
Yeah.
So it was just another command for me. At the
I don't
time.
think we really appreciate it until we're out and we're older and we
Unfortunately,
understand the
yes.
bigger picture. Because when we're young and going through it, your job and your day to day.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Yeah, and then so like the ship itself, people say to me, so you know all your way around. And I said, only since I've been working here. When I first got here, I went from my berthing to the head to breakfast to work, and
Yeah, your routes.
that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I didn't go anywhere else. I didn't have a
Exactly.
need.
I never knew I still don't know how to get to the engineering spaces on the ship. I'd be like, what? I think we did, aft steering together, and getting down there, I was like, I don't even know where I am.
Yeah.
I could totally get lost and be stuck here forever. So you had some significant things happen in the Desert Storm then. Were you part of the surrender when they came out with the flags and surrendered to the Wisconsin?
So, that was something that we found out after the fact. It was a big deal, of course, up in Combat
Yeah.
Engagement Center because they watched it all on video.
Sure.
But I don't.
But no one was like on the bridge
No,
looking.
it wasn't.
And,
No, it wasn't anything like. Well, no, because this was way out there. This was the last day of the war, and
Okay.
it was all caught on
like infrared
camera from the RPV.
Yeah.
And that's how that all transpired. So outside of the people that were in combat, not many folks knew that all that had happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So were you ever part of the Wisconsin ever like sinking any other ships or taking anything down?
No.
Because I know when I went to Iraq the first time, and I always tell someone when I flew up the river the first time, there's many sunk ships in the river, making it unuseful from Desert Storm.
Okay.
So we mark those because
Yeah.
ships just can't use the river anymore.
Right.
And I mean, I guess strategically it's significant,
Yes.
but it's been there for a while.
For my best recollection, we did not fire at anything that was moving, other than trucks and stuff like that.
Sure.
The majority of NGFS that we did was either to help out our brother Marines on the beach or to destroy some sort of communication system or something like that. I remember distinctly because I was on watch at the time, and when the RPV's up, we had 3 CCTV channels.
Yeah.
And one of the channels would be showing us what the RPV was looking at. So I remember distinctly being on watch and watching the guns firing. So I'm here on the ship and I watch them fire, and then I go inside the chart house and I watch them land on that that radio tower and
That's
stuff
cool.
like that. That was cool stuff. Yeah.
So at the time, how many crew? Was it like 1,500?
I was one of 1,600 approximately sailors. Yeah, I think the actual number is 15,800 something. But yeah, approximately 1,600 I was one of.
Very cool. And no women, right?
No women. No, they didn't put women on combatants until 1993.
Yeah.
But we do actually have 2 female heads on board.
Really?
Yeah, just
what
in
was
case.
That for? Just in case?
So let's say we get a female helicopter pilot.
Yes.
'Cause
Okay.
we've gotten those, and she needs to use the facilities when she lands.
Well, you just use the men's. What does it matter?
No, they've
You gotta go. You gotta go.
And they're also there for just in case.
Yeah, maybe dignitaries, because I know like a lot of when the ships pull in certain places, and you do, you know, goodwill, and you have ambassadors come on
Yes.
board and stuff, and sometimes women will come on board for
Yep.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you want the clean head.
Yes.
The one that not everyone has used, that's been painted white, and, you
Yeah,
know.
and nobody touches it.
Nobody
It's-
touches
It is
it.
specifically for women, yes.
Yes, I would love to use that head in the Navy. I've never seen anything like that in the Navy.
When we finish this, I can take you there. You can't use it because it's not hooked up, but I can actually show you what it looks like.
That's awesome. So after the Wisconsin, what was the rest of your naval career? What did you do after?
So, I actually separated.
Okay.
I had initially decided, when I initially joined, I had wanted to make a career out of it, but after the Gulf War, things in my world had changed, so
Yeah.
I decided to separate. So I did my 4 years. I separated. I had accrued enough leave where I left the Navy a month early.
Good for you.
Because of the war, I had all this leave left over, so I went home a month early. And then a couple of years later, I ended up joining the reserves.
Okay.
And I was in a reserve unit in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I did 6 years there, and then I had my civilian world going on, and I didn't want to go to.
Where were they deploying it then?
It was I don't remember the name of the place, but it was. They made the movie Black Hawk Down.
Oh, Somalia.
Yes, I didn't want to go to Somalia, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found the door instead.
Good for you. I get it. I got out after Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom because it's a lot.
It
When
is.
you've seen combat and you've been in the thick of it, it's a lot. And you kind of want to like.
You know, and it was scary too because I had seen combat. You know, as much combat as you can see on on board a battleship, but I had done that,
Yeah.
and I was in the reserves, and I was with a reserve unit, and they were all, you know, mom and dads who had regular jobs
Sure.
and had not encountered any of that. And then they said, I need to go over to Mogadishu
Yeah.
with these people. I'm like, I don't see that happen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you for telling
yeah.
us about all you did and for your career and for
Yeah.
your service.
thank you.
And thank you for being a part of the best armed service in the United States.
Yes, ma'am,
Or
that
in
is
the
correct.
world.
Yeah, in the
So-
world, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you very much.
And so we're in the wardrobe. We're in the captain's quarters, and this is his desk. This is
Yep.
where he'd hang out. And how about where he slept? Is that in there?
Through that door there.
Okay, so let's go over there.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, over there on the bulkhead, of course.
Yes.
But this is Captain Blesh and Captain Bill on Captain Blesh's. Well, he's being relieved.
Oh, is this
I
change
don't-
command?
Change of command. Thank
Okay.
you. That's the word. He wasn't relieved. It was a change of command.
Yeah.
This is in the Gulf War.
Okay.
Or this is during Desert Storm, Anchorage in Bahrain.
This is like, it's, you know, it's a terrible thing to say about captains, but who's wearing shirt stays and who's not?
Yes. No, and then on the flip side of that, so Captain Bill, he was the last Wisconsin captain to get promoted to admiral,
Okay.
which is how he then ended up leaving here and going off, and Captain Vandershoff came on board. But you'll see in here, I have this shirt hanging in here.
Awesome.
He graduated the Naval Academy, went to Vietnam,
Oh, did he?
and he was part of the Brown Water Navy.
Oh, good for him.
So he had a lot of combat experience before getting
Yeah.
here.
He looks salty.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I would follow that man to the gates of hell if we were required.
Let me explain too, like these are command stars that they're wearing. And the one, he has it on his pocket means he had command. He's not in command right now. And this one on this side means he's in command right now. So the change of command probably went that he's taking command from him. Right? Is that what's happening in this picture?
Captain Bill is
Really?
taking command
Yeah.
from Captain
Yeah.
Blesh.
So they'll usually change the pins in the ceremony.
Yeah.
But then if you've ever been a commander, you'll always have this pin underneath your ribbons. So you can always tell if someone has had command, they'll have that star pin underneath their ribbons.
Yep. Yep. And that picture is 30 September 1991. That's decommissioning day.
Aww.
So you see Captain Blesh is in civilian clothes,
Yeah.
Captain Bill is in his whites there, and Captain Vandershoff is in his dress whites.
uniform,
That's
yeah.
decommissioning day.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it. Did you zoom in, babe? Because I feel like this is zoomed in. There we go. Okay. There we go. Zoom out. Yes, I feel like it's right on my face. Okay.
Yep.
So here's the captain's stateroom.
This is the captain's import bedroom.
This is nice. This is nicer than the ship I was on.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've been called to the captain's office many times to get yelled at. So I got to see his.
Okay.
Jennifer, what are we going to do? I mean, when you're like one of the senior women on board, he's always like, what are these good? And I'm like,
Right.
I don't know. Like,
It all falls on your shoulders.
I'm always like, why are you asking me these questions? You're the 06.
It's true.
But this is not bad. So, okay, and then his bathroom,
Yep, that's the head.
which is not, again, he has nice space in here.
Yeah.
And then here's the shirt you were talking about.
Right, that's Captain Bill's
And he, like I said, the pin with
uniform.
the star.
And there's that pin.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Very nice. And then I would assume Ship's Laundry would do his uniform for him.
S5 takes care of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a full laundry facility on board. There's also a press room, and yeah, they take care of all that.
Yeah, and you guys can see, like, you're in an active ship. Everything is labeled and numbered, and you know things are still working and going through. And you're right behind the bullseye, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Every space is going to have a bullseye to let you know where you're at in reference to the rest of the ship. And I think this is floor,
Yep.
right? So we're on the first, and I think if it takes the 0 away, you're going below main deck.
Correct.
And if 0 goes above, you're going above main deck.
Correct.
And then 9-5 is from front to back. They're numbered.
That's the frame.
Yep. So that's letting you know, like, how many total on the ship?
I believe there's 230 something.
So it is about halfway then.
Well, we're in the 1/3 mark here.
Okay. And then the 3 is what, like left to
Side to
right?
side.
Side to side. And then so this letting you know to the left side, you're 3 over.
The Lima is a living space.
Oh, that's right. Living space.
This is the exact address. 01,
Yeah.
like you said. Yeah, we're up in the 01 level. The main deck is the 1.
Yep.
And then everything below that. 9-5 is the frame back, which is
And that's-
coincides with this.
Yep. And that's how many basic frame or places here. We got 4.
Right. So that's frame 95, and then this bulkhead is frame 99.
Yes.
The head is going to have its own bullseye.
Yeah, it has
because
its own
it's
bullseye in there.
Beyond that. And then 3 means that we are 1 space over to the starboard side from the center line.
Yes.
And as that number gets higher, the further out you're going.
Going to the
And
edge
if
of
it's
the
an
ship.
even number,
You're front on
you're on the port side
the
of the
port
ship.
side. Okay. And port is left, starboard is right. I learned all these things in the Navy.
That's right. That's right.
Bow, stern.
Yep.
And then S5
S5
is who's in charge of the space?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is 95 to 99, and I can take the difference in that, multiply it by 4. I know how big the space is. And then S5 is the fifth division in supply.
Okay. And those things go in the dark. Or they
Uh,
should, right? I know. Maybe
I've
in
never
today's
s-
Navy.
Yeah, maybe in today's Navy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they did not. They were just done in yellow to stand
Oh.
out, but no,
Yeah.
nothing glows in the dark.
Oh, in today's Navy they do.
That's
Because if we
freaky.
lose power, you need to know what space you're in. You
Yes.
kind of get, yeah.
Yeah.
So they made
No,
it
that
more,
makes sense.
more useful.
That makes sense.
So cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
So why is there a telephone beside the bathroom for the captain of the ship? Because there are standing orders on the bridge that you have got to call the captain if it falls within these standing orders. It's usually like you're within 3 miles of another ship, or another ship is approaching you, or they're cutting off your path and you're going to change course. You have to get the captain's permission to
Yes.
do all of those things. And so you need to disrupt the captain anytime, any place. Going to the bathroom, sleeping, it doesn't matter. Those are captain's orders. So I've woken the captain up. And usually you have to kind of give him a little chance to get his wits about him and be like, sir, and usually on our ship, he had a radar screen. So you could tell
Okay.
him, look at the radar screen. I'm showing you this contact. I'm at this contact. I'm letting you know that I've hailed them and they're turning. And he's like, okay. So just letting you know within 3 miles, I've already done this. But you have to let them know. And if
Yeah.
they ever find out that you did not call them for standing orders, you will be relieved of duty and you'll never probably stand that watch again.
Yes.
So that's why there's a phone by the bathroom.
Yeah, yeah.